Last week, when we left our friend Joseph, he had just been put in charge of the entire nation of Egypt by the king of Egypt, Pharaoh. Pharaoh rolled out the red carpet for Joseph. He gave him such nice clothes, really pretty jewelry, even his own daughter to marry. We read in Genesis 41, starting at verse 46, that Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from Pharaoh's presence and traveled throughout Egypt. During the 7 years of abundance, the land produced plentifully. Joseph collected all the food produced in those 7 years of abundance in Egypt and stored it in the cities. In each city, he put the food grown in the fields surrounding it. Joseph stored up huge quantities of grain, like the sand of the sea. It was so much that he stopped keeping records because it was beyond measure. So Joseph saved tons of food for the entire land. Gotta save up, gotta save up, gotta save food up for a 7-year famine. After the 10 years of plenty in which Joseph saved a ton of food, the 7 years of famine began, and all the surrounding nations were struggling to put food on the table. Because of that, countries from all over the place started coming to Egypt to get food from Joseph.
What in tarnation are you guys doing around standing here looking at each other? Go to Egypt and get us some grain. I hear they have some.
Joseph's dad, Jacob, sent all of his sons to go get grain from the land of Egypt. When Joseph's brothers got to Egypt, Joseph immediately recognized him, but he kept his identity a secret, and he spoke very harshly to them.
Where do you come from?
We come from the land of Canaan. We're 12 brothers of one father.
You are clearly spies. You have come to see where our land is weak.
No, my lord, we aren't spies. We're honest men here from our country for food.
Liars!
No, we promise we're all brothers. One died and one's at home with our dad.
Fine then. One of you go get your youngest brother, while the rest of you stay here. That way, I'll know that you are telling the truth.
After that, Joseph kept his own brothers in prison for 3 days.
Bless you. Man, God is punishing us for what we did to Joseph years and years ago.
I think you're right.
All right, I shall be generous. Only one of you need stay here. The rest, go grab your youngest brother and feed your families.
So all of Joseph's brothers except one left Egypt to go back to Canaan to go grab Benjamin.
Before those men from Canaan leave, put the money back in their sacks.
But along the way, they made a strange discovery.
What? He gave our money back!
So they hurried even faster back to their dad. It was crazy, Dad. The guy in charge there in Egypt spoke really harshly towards us. He accused us of being spies. And when we tried to tell him that we weren't, he pressed us and asked us all about you and Benjamin and our family. So we told him everything. But he said in order for him to believe us, that he was going to hold Simeon hostage until we could bring Benjamin back to him. So now we can't get Simeon back or get more food unless you send Benjamin with us to Egypt to prove our innocence.
So you're telling me I already lost Joseph. They took Simeon hostage. Who's to say they won't keep Benjamin too? I'm not sending him.
The famine only got worse and worse. So eventually, the family needed more food from Egypt.
Take the rest of your brothers and go get us a little bit more food from Egypt.
Dad, this guy was super clear. If we don't go there with Benjamin, he's gonna kill us. If you send Benjamin with us, we'll go.
Why on earth did you tell him about your little brother?
Dad, we're sorry. We had no idea that he would want us to bring Benjamin to him. Look, I personally guarantee his safety. We could have already left and been back twice by now.
Fine, but bring double the money, lots of goodies, and pray that God has mercy on us all.
So the brothers left for Egypt a second time, this time with their youngest brother Benjamin, double the money, and a bunch of goodies to give to Pharaoh. When they got there, they presented their gifts, but more importantly, they showed off their youngest brother Benjamin to prove that they weren't lying.
Here's our younger brother Benjamin, as promised.
But then something really bizarre happened.
Very good. Make them a feast.
Then the feast began.
Great. Let's feast. Feast!
Feast!
The feast continued, and they were given tons of food and gifts by Joseph, but Benjamin received the most.
Feast!
Joseph's brothers reluctantly agreed to the feast. They were just really scared that the most powerful man in the land was paying them so much close attention. The brothers tried to give all the money back, but Joseph and Joseph's attendant kept on being incredibly nice to them.
So last time when we left, we found all of our money back in our sacks. So this time I brought that money as well as the money for food this time.
It's okay. Keep it. Consider it a gift from your God.
After the feast was finished and the gifts had been given, Joseph's brothers left to go back to Canaan. But Joseph gave some odd and particular instructions to his attendant.
This time, I want you to put back their money as well as give them tons of food and put my most prized possession in Benjamin's bag.
Joseph's brothers had traveled a long way before Joseph's attendant caught up to them and accused them of stealing Joseph's most prized possession.
Whoever has it shall be put to death then.
Why is there an Eagles 2017 Super Bowl championship coaster in here?
The attendant took Benjamin into custody, and Joseph's brothers left with them back to Egypt to plead with the ruler of Egypt to not hurt their brother.
Sir, listen. Our father has already lost one of his very favorite sons. He died many years ago. If you take Benjamin from him, he'll die with grief. Please take my life instead.
While Joseph's brothers pleaded, feelings of great anger and sorrow welled up inside of Joseph until he blurted out,
Don't you see? I am your dead brother!
Joseph finally revealed his identity to his brothers. Who knows what's going to happen next? What I can tell you is that God had a plan from the beginning. And next week, we're going to wrap up our series on Joseph and see what exactly God's plan for Joseph and his brothers was.